Hey everyone, I wanted to make a quick video. Well, I'll try and make it quick. I have a lot to say on this subject, so I'm going to do my best to keep it short and sweet. I wanted to talk about miscarriages and grief and isolating ourselves while we're going through something difficult. Most of you guys know that I lost my mom on New Year's Eve, and thank you to those of you who reached out to me while I was going through that difficult situation. Some of you I responded to, and some of you I didn't, and I'm sorry to those of you who I didn't respond to. It was a really hard time in my life. My mom and I were very close. She lived with me in the end, and it was a very challenging time for me. So I just wanted to say thank you to those of you who reached out that I didn't get a chance to respond to. But what I really wanted to talk about in this video is miscarriages. I felt pretty comfortable talking to everybody about losing my mom. I was visibly, like, people could see something was wrong with me, would ask me, "Are you okay? What's going on with you?" And I felt very comfortable. "Oh, my mom just passed away," and I'd get the "I'm sorries" and, just kind of talk about my mom. But I don't feel comfortable talking about miscarriages. And I've thought a lot about it today. And I think the number one reason for me why I don't like to talk about it is because it makes me feel like a failure. Right? So my mom died. That's not my fault, right? She was in poor health. She had a lot going on, and she passed away. I had nothing to do with that. That's not on me. When women experience miscarriages, it makes us feel like a failure. I think the other thing is too, and everybody means well, and I know that, but sometimes people can say things that aren't helpful at all. For example, don't worry, you'll get pregnant again is a perfect example of what somebody can say that's not necessarily helpful. It's a well-meaning statement to try and comfort, but it can hurt because then we feel like our grief is not valid and we can't grieve the loss of that baby. When you find out you're pregnant, the minute you find out, you become a mom in that very moment, whether it's your very first one or your fifth or sixth. You become a mom in that moment, and when it's taken away from you, it's a loss. No matter how long you were pregnant, whether it was 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 40 weeks, it's no longer your child and it's gone, and you have to grieve the loss of that. And I think a lot of us feel like maybe we shouldn't grieve because we didn't actually hold the baby in our arms. It wasn't a real live baby in our arms holding them. And that's not true. It's just not true. We have to grieve the loss because it is a loss. That's a baby you imagined for however many weeks you were pregnant until you lost the baby. And then that baby is no longer. You have to grieve the loss. I had a miscarriage back in 2012 that I was extremely private about and grieved alone through that process. And I think for the same reasons, looking back now, I think it was for the same reasons. But it's also, it's kind of a private thing too. I thought about it a lot today. I'm a very private person, and I don't like to put a lot of stuff out there. I know sometimes on Facebook I may not seem like I'm very private, but I am when I'm going through something personal. And I was driving home from work today, and I was thinking, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Right? because I can see where it's good, you know. You don't need to put all your stuff out there all the time. We all know people like that who we know exactly what's going on with them at every moment because they put it all out there. And I think, I'm going to be honest, I definitely judge. But I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. So I guess the main reason I wanted to make this video is I want women who are going through miscarriages, specifically that, to know that they're not alone, because it can feel like you are the only one going through it. I don't have a lot of people in my life that have been through it, at least not that I know of. Maybe I do know people and they're just not telling me. But I feel very alone in this process of grieving, you know, the loss of a baby due to a miscarriage. And we're obviously we all, you know, the women that are going through that feel something similar as I do, and that's why it's so private. Maybe it's failure, maybe it's you're afraid of what people are going to say to you, or maybe you're in denial. You don't want to say it out loud. So I know that's part of my process too. Denial is definitely a part of my grieving process for sure. Right now I'm in the anger phase. I'm very angry at my body for doing this. You know, I don't know. And, you know, you never know what's wrong at 8 weeks. There's just no way of knowing. Most likely it was genetic, but there could be another reason. So if you or anybody else you know are going through this, please let them know that they're not alone. I think your comments are well-meaning, but if you've never been through it, you've never been through it. And the most important thing going through a miscarriage is to know that you're not alone. So if you know somebody who's going through it and that's having a really hard time, or maybe you will know somebody later on down the road, please share this video with them. And I'm here if anybody wants to talk about miscarriages, or maybe even just a loss of a child. I know I can't 100% relate to that, but I can on a level. The what ifs, you know, I'm not going to be able to take that baby to kindergarten, or the first day of middle school, driving, marriage, you know, all those things that we think about. So, yeah, I'm here. If you or anybody else you know needs to talk, I'm here, because it does make me feel better when I know somebody else has been through it and I'm not alone. So if you made it 8 minutes through this video, thanks for watching.